Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel of Bethel Evangelical Free Church Hanley. I'm Pastor Gervais Charnley. This is another Worcestershire church. This is St Michael's, Abberley, and you may be thinking, well, it looks like it's missing a bit. And the answer is yes, it is. In the 1850s, this church, it's a Norman church, but by the 1850s it was in such a state that it was felt that it was no longer adequate for the church, for the village. It was a bit too small and it was a bit run down, and so the nave was taken down, really just low-ish walls of about 5.5 foot high on the inside, and was lower on the outside. And a new church was built elsewhere in the village, St Mary's. We'll go to that next. But this is the old church of St Michael's. I'm standing in the nave, and the camera is just in the tower arch. And behind me is the chancel, which is the only bit of the church that is still functional. So we're starting sort of kind of outside, but also sort of kind of inside, because we're inside the ruins. So let's have a look around, and we'll start, of course, at the usual place at the West End. So we're now inside the tower base. You can see here, this is the remains of the tower arch. Those are the walls, capped with these pointy stones to keep people from climbing on them, because nothing damages walls more than people climbing on top of them. And there is the chancel. You can see the outline of a bigger arch that then has had the smaller arch, which has to be one of the old doorways placed inside of it, and there again there's a side chapel. There was obviously an aisle here. You can see there the spring of the aisle, but it was a fairly narrow aisle, quite typical of a Norman building. The south doorway is still there, and we'll see on the outside. Obviously now it's been used for burials. There is the remains here of a porch, or possibly actually a vestry on the south side. It's hard to tell. And there's a flying buttress supporting that, and of course the whole point is to support the building. And once you take the roof off, then support is an issue. We have a couple of memorials that have been built inside. Obviously, this is it's a village with a major country house, Abberley Hall. It's now a school. It was the home of the Jones family. So here is the door. Shall we see if this one is open? Please, it says, please enter by side door. So we shall use a side door, the priest's door. So that is the nave here. So because it says enter that way, we'll go around here. You can see that's the old holy water stoup. That's where you go in if in the Middle Ages you would splash water over it, anoint your face with water to remind yourself of your baptism. Norman doorway here, plain tympanum. The old rectory, of course, next door. Rather nice, very nice actually. Nice building. And this is a medieval rectory. There's a little bit of timber framing there, and be a very simple building. So this is the priest's door. You can see there's the old rectory, and here's the priest's door. So let's go inside and see what we can see. There's an inner door as well, which is always a little bit tricky, these inner doors, because you get through here, and then you push the inner door and try to avoid it flying all the way back like it just did. So here we are inside St Michael's, and there's a list of rectors from 1276 to 2001. Just, memorials to members of the Bromley family, Severn family. And there's an old bell. They're big old things, these church bells, but obviously this particular bell, and that's why you can't get through that door, because there's a screen in front of it. And this is the chancel. This is all that's left. There's one of the old windows, original windows there, and yes, daughter of Sir George Blount, formerly of Soddington in this county. So Elizabeth daughter of Sir George Blount, wife of William Walsh, there's a great big memorial here on the wall. And of course this is just the chancel. We've got here the twin lancets with nice carving over the top. There's some painted glass rather than stained glass, and then there's a coat of arms up there. And that is pretty much all there is to see here, because it is just the chancel. As I say, there is a new church, a Victorian church, elsewhere in the village, and you see there's a historical display at the back. It's always good to see these things, because obviously this building today is basically, although it does get used for service, it is not used that much. Well, I suppose it probably is used more than it used to be, but there's a very nice medieval roof up there. But it is still used, and it's very much a heritage asset, and rightly so. Rightly so. So that's the inside here at Abberley, and I will actually do the outside properly. And so this is the outside at Abberley St Michael's. That, of course, is the chancel, and then beyond there, that's where the nave partly is and completely used to be. So as we look around the outside, we'll look at what's left and have some thoughts about what was there back before the 1850s. In the 1850s, there were really two issues facing the village here at Abberley. One of them was the church was not very big, and the village had grown. The second, that the church was not in the best condition. And so it was decided, rather than knock down the existing church, because it's quite a constricted site in many ways, they would leave, rather than rebuild on the same site, they would leave the chancel intact, a sort of chapel in the middle of the village, and they'd rebuild the new church in a new site nearer the big house. And often that's the way, it's nearer the big house. You can just see there how this window has been enlarged, and that's brick, either early 19th or maybe 18th century. There's a wooden tracery there, and again that's a window that's been put in. Unless there's no gravestones here. Now there must be burials here because this is the old church, but of course all the stones have been taken away and it's left this open space. And there's the chancel on the north side with those original windows. You can see where it's been heightened, and there's the signs that there was a clerestory on both sides. And that is all that's left of the nave, this rather interesting arrangement of walls. And then of course the west end there is where the tower was. It's been taken down, of course, because the building was in bad condition anyway, and the idea was, well, rather than spend lots and lots of money on doing it up, what we'll do is we'll take it down and we'll leave it like this as a chapel in the village, but also then this becomes a garden almost, and it's today it is very much a heritage location. It's looked after locally, and it's a marvellous site. You see there that they've kept the doorway there, and then the north doorway has been turned into that doorway into the chancel. So that is St Michael's. So next video, God willing, will be St Mary's, the Victorian church. And so there we have it, St Mary's, Abberley. Partial ruin, still very attractive, and of course very rural and rustic. Well, thank you for watching, and may God bless you and keep you until next time.